When night falls, they come into their own. Astrophotographers portray the night sky in spectacular images. With their cameras, they show celestial phenomena in a way never seen before. On voyages of adventure over 5 continents. In Indonesia, Gernot and his partner Pascal are on the prowl for breathtaking pictures of celestial phenomena. Their particular interest, the solar eclipse. This empty factory hall in Karlsruhe has been turned into a makeshift planetarium. The mastermind here is astrophotographer Gernot. His aim is to convey to the audience something of his work and enthusiasm for celestial phenomena, particularly the solar eclipse.
For many years now, we have been traveling around the globe chasing solar eclipses. You'll find us anywhere where the moon casts a shadow over the Earth. It might be somewhere in Siberia, where it's minus 50 degrees, or in the hot climate of Colombia, or the extremely hot climate of Indonesia.
Astronomer and photographic engineer Gernot and journalist Pascal go in search of breathtaking images of celestial phenomena, producing unique photos and time-lapse sequences. Close to the equator, where in a fortnight the umbra of the moon will cast a shadow across the Earth and the moon will eclipse the sun, Gernot and Pascal look for the ideal location to observe this incredible natural spectacle. Located between Australia and China, Indonesia is expected to witness a total solar eclipse in the spring. Gernot and Pascal's journey begins on the island of Java, near the coast, and heads towards Mount Bromo, an active volcano. With its 130 million inhabitants, Java is the most populated island in the world. In economic terms, agriculture still plays a decisive role, with cultivation focusing on rice, spices, and tea. In their search for an ideal viewing point to shoot the solar eclipse, Gernot and Pascal pass through picturesque scenery. As they climb ever higher, searching for the best vantage point from which to shoot the solar eclipse, Gernot and Pascal pass numerous plantations and little villages. However, their GPS system is soon pushed to its limits, and the generally outdated maps of the region are not much help either. So they resort to a more traditional navigation technique and ask the locals. The higher they ascend, the worse the weather gets. The roads are muddy and wet, and the rain torrential. The settlement of Kimoro Lawang is a key point of departure for expeditions to the crater rim of Mount Bromo. Guides from the Tenga tribe wait here for customers.
I know the weather is changeable up here. Around midday the clouds gather. They obviously accumulate around the mountain and then the rain comes down. I can't see the mountains as they're shrouded in mist and rain, so I'll head to a position I found on the map, one which I think will be good. I'll take my pictures, but then I might realize this isn't exactly what I wanted, which means I may have to stay one more day. When you don't get the image you have in your head, you have to chase it until you do.
For safety reasons, no one is allowed up to the crater rim without a local guide. Today, not only is the weather bad, there are also warnings of possible eruptions. These aren't good conditions for the planned expedition to the volcano, and the local guide agrees. If we go closer to Mount Bromo and there are eruptions, we shouldn't be scared, as it isn't normally dangerous. All we need to do is trust in divine wisdom and accept this divine trial. If it does erupt, we are sure to have great prosperity next year. At the moment, there is a red alert. For visitors, this means keeping at least 3 kilometers away from the crater rim. But the local guide knows a vantage point that is not only safe, but also promises a unique view of the volcanic belt. As long as the weather plays along.
Just imagine, if the volcano is active and a plume of smoke rises up against the starry night sky, all set against a view of the Milky Way.
Gernot Meiser doesn't let fear deter him. He moves his cameras into position. Today, he's hoping to catch impressive pictures of a volcano erupting under a canopy of stars, if only the weather would improve.
Wow, it's amazing after spending the whole day watching from behind a wall of mist. The most awesome view ever. Amazing. I never thought it'd be so impressive.
Nicht gedacht, dass es so beeindruckend ist.
Around 1 million years ago, a powerful explosion created a huge crater with a 10-kilometer diameter. Over the following millennia, several new volcanoes rose up in the caldera, including Mount Bromo, one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes. The locals from the Tenga tribe walk up Mount Bromo when they want to ask God for something. For instance, to give them health or prosperity, modesty or humility.
When I look up to the stars from Earth into the depths of the universe, I can see that there is something limitless out there. But interestingly, the stars are like a roof over us, a roof over all of us. And under this roof, I live together with all the people around the globe.
Stop off in Yogyakarta. This provincial capital, with its 500,000 inhabitants, is one of Indonesia's main cities. Known for its graffiti and for the cloud of ash that often hangs over it from the surrounding volcanoes.
Basically, we also travel with the aim of getting to know people on our trips. We go to a country where there is a solar eclipse and also want to find out what this eclipse means to people, which is why talking to people is so important.
Meeting with local people Gernot and Pascal discover a lot about their religion, myths and superstitions. They quickly realize that solar eclipses are viewed here through very unscientific spectacles.
In Indonesia, there are many old stories about celestial events. They say a huge dragon is eating up the sun. So people come together to make noise, banging on drums, kettle drums and tin drums. They make as much noise as possible to scare the dragon into coughing the eaten sun back up again and to bring the daylight back to Earth.
Gernot Meiser is often called the shadow hunter, so visiting a workshop for shadow puppets is obviously a must for him. The puppets, made from leather, buffalo horn and bamboo, are used to tell the old sagas and stories of traditional Indonesian shadow theatre. They show how the belief in demons is still alive today.
When a solar eclipse starts or something else unusual appears in the sky, like a comet, it is then portrayed in this shadow theatre.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
Nighttime in Yogyakarta would be far too bright for astronomic time-lapse photography, as too much artificial light prevents any decent view of the night sky. The next morning, Pascal and Gernot head west. They want to go up into the mountains, but they don't get very far. A sharp stone on the side of the road is all it takes.
Totally wrecked.
Oh no.
Hopefully the car has a spare tire. They didn't check in the morning on their way out. And labels in Indonesian don't really help them.
So simple, so simple. Language skills are everything. Now we have a second problem. There's not enough air in the tire. I hope it's not punctured and there's a garage somewhere nearby. We can run on it for a few miles, but...
They drive slowly on, but there's no garage, no habitation. At last, after countless kilometers, a moped station. Maybe they can help pump up the flat tire.
This is change. So, irgendwo keine Pumpe oder so?
Nggak ada,
Ne?
nggak ada pompa. Nggak ada.
Pumpe. Ja, Pumpe. Oh, eine Pumpe kommt. Ja, das geht doch. Das geht doch. Halbe Stunde pumpen. Kriegen wir das schon. Super. Ja. Terima kasih. Okay.
Yes, help him, that's right.
No need to rub it in.
Okay, dann Fahren wir jetzt, hä?
The quest for the best viewpoint for the coming eclipse began at Mount Bromo. From there, they first headed for Yogyakarta, and now they are on track for Dieng Plateau. The volcanic Dieng Plateau is 2,000 meters above sea level. The last few miles have to be done on foot. Back home before leaving, an astronomer friend urged the couple not to miss the amazing view from here. But the weather has scuppered their plans yet again. Although they had read about the chances of freak floods and torrential downpours, they had still hoped to see more than this.
It has never rained like this, or at least not for so long. We didn't reckon on this either. Now we will just have to wait a while to see what happens. Maybe we'll get a break in the clouds at some point. I do hope we get great pictures because the mountain landscape up in the Dieng Plateau is just incredibly beautiful.
For time-lapse sequences, individual shots are taken at a frequency of 1 to 20 pictures per minute and then played at 25 images per second. So slow changes, scarcely noticeable or entirely imperceptible to the human eye in real time, now become visible. Cloud movements, star orbits, changes in weather.
There was this opportunity for people to apply to go to Mars. I applied secretly in the knowledge that I wouldn't come back. To fly up there on Mars One and stay up there and discover Mars as a pioneer, that would be something incredible. I'd like to do it very much.
As a small boy, Gernot Meiser tried to watch the first astronauts land on the moon through field glasses. In vain, but his enthusiasm for the stars and space was born. From the Dieng Plateau, Gernot and Pascal can already see vast swathes of their surroundings, including a very well-tended tea plantation. So the next morning, they make their way into the valley to take a closer look. It was Dutch colonists who brought Chinese and later Indian plants to Java, using it as a base to build the global tea trade. Only the tips of the bushes are cut off here. Only the youngest growth is harvested.
Watching people at work means you can also strike up a conversation with them. Some people we spoke to hadn't heard about the eclipse and only found out about it by talking to us. This aroused their curiosity, making them wonder if it was dangerous or just a natural spectacle and what they should do.
The women are very reluctant to answer questions about the solar eclipse.
Yes, obviously it scares me. There is something spooky about an eclipse. especially when you're in the woods and it's dark.
Only women work as tea pickers at the plantation, lugging sacks weighing up to 30 kilos. Men only weigh the harvest and record it. When Gernot shows the women how the camera works, they also want to take photos of the men among them. Time flies and the date of the eclipse, March 9th, comes ever closer. In Java, Gernot and Pascal will only have the chance to see a partial solar eclipse, which means they need to carry on their journey to the Moluccas. Only there will they be able to see the moon slide in front of the sun and hide it completely. The Moluccas are among the most easterly of the more than 17,000 islands that make up Indonesia. And there, far in the east, is where the total eclipse lasts longest. Their first destination on the Moluccas is Ternate. Ternate used to be the center of a sultanate that grew powerful thanks to the trade in local spices and ruled vast expanses of the northern Moluccas. But when the Portuguese and Dutch arrived, the balance of power shifted forever. The colonial superpowers went to war over the so-called Spice Islands, whose fragrant treasures were traded in Europe like gold. Once they arrive in Ternate, Gernot and Pascal immediately head for a spot recommended to them as an ideal vantage point for the eclipse.
What do you see?
From the tree, just past the camera there, to back there, and then a bit of foreground, very wide-angled. If the stars peek out from above the clouds, then we'll get them. Have a look.
Yes. Then we'll have the perfect shot of the sky.
Wherever I go on this planet, I have the stars above me. Whether I cross borders or visit other continents, the connecting link are the stars. What this means for me is I am part of this entire universe with the stars above me. I'm right in amongst it.
Über mir, ich bin ja mittendrin.
In the colonial powers' battle for the island's precious spices, the so-called Spice Wars, the Dutch prevailed and made Ternate part of the Dutch East Indies. Today, cloves and nutmeg still play an important role in the local economy. A spice trader takes them up to his plantation in the hills, where the clove trees grow in ideal conditions. He tells them about his everyday routine. I get up every day at 5 in the morning. My wife makes the tea. Then I call my children to help me. The walk up to the mountain is long, 3 kilometers. When we arrive, we climb up the clove trees. The buds on the treetops have to be picked by hand before they bloom, preferably on a daily basis. The aim is to catch them at exactly the point when the essential oils in the buds are at their peak. We bring the ripe cloves down from the trees to dry. We break them open at night and lay them out in the sun in the morning. That's always how it goes. We have to climb up the trees and gather the harvest every day before the buds can blossom. If they blossom, they develop large kernels, fertile seeds. Then you can't use them as spices anymore. Cloves are thought to be healthy because of their very high levels of antioxidants, though over half of the harvest goes into cigarette production. On the side of the road, the cloves are laid out to dry in the sun.
Riecht auf jeden Fall sehr lecker.
Guck mal da. Geh mal rüber. Geh mal rüber.
Weiß ich nicht.
Jeps.
Hallo.
Halo, pagi.
Ini sudah
What is
kering,
that?
kering. Kering.
Ah, ja,
Get a full dose, all the aroma.
das ganze Aroma.
Mal drauf beißen.
Bite into it?
Oh yeah, that numbs your lips and teeth.
Ini dibuat rokok ini, buat rokok Indonesia.
Ja, gut roko.
Rokok.
Oh, you smoke it?
Harum.
Oh ja, das betäubt ganz schön die Zunge.
It really numbs your tongue. Medicine, like at the dentist. Oh, it works immediately. We have to take some of that back for when you have toothache.
Zahnschmerzen hast du auch.
The date of the eclipse moves ever closer, which means the pressure's on to find a suitable observation point. An old colonial fort piques the interest of the astrophotographer. Fort Tulaco was built by the Portuguese to give them a view over the bay, though the view they were after was a strategic one.
Hey. Klasse, ne?
Wonderful. Great. This is the place.
Ist toll.
It's great. This is a good position. The sun is now here, and by the time the eclipse comes, it will be about here. And when the sun is at the right height, there will be a real atmosphere.
Hat das hier Atmosphäre. Man wird auch nach
Later on, you will see how the sea goes really calm, and the water will be flat. But word is bound to spread among our colleagues that there is a good view here, so I'm afraid it will be full.
Before they make their final decision about which spot to go for, and more importantly, which island to watch the coming eclipse from, Gernot and Pascal ask for advice from local weather experts, something they always do. Getting the best vantage point is all very well, but if the weather report is bad, there's not much point.
Visiting the weather station is actually a must when you're on trips to track down the solar eclipse, so you can find out how the weather will develop.
Wie das lokale Wetter sich entwickelt.
Hello.
Pagi, fine.
Pagi. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You are a very important person for us because we need some information from you.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think, which one is the best place in the Moluccan Islands?
Mind you, I didn't get the feeling at the weather station we were really getting exactly the right information. It feels like they want us to stay on the island and see the eclipse from here, as they would like to have lots of tourists coming here.
For you. Okay. Success. Yes. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Very friendly. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Yeah. Bye.
Here on Ternate, I don't really want to get too excited about the eclipse. Firstly, because there's a great big volcano in the middle of the island, which attracts clouds. And if more clouds form, they will go beyond the coastline and block our view. Then you have to factor in the microclimate. Airflows that circulate around the mountains create updrafts which can then disperse the clouds, so that the weather locally, depending on the island, can stay quite stable. Based on my information, it looks like things might be better further east.
So on they go to the next island, Halmahera. Just 4 days from now, the moon will slide across the sun and cast its shadow over the isolated archipelago at a speed of over 1,000 kilometers an hour.
So, und die Schattenzone ist die hier. Der Schatten ist dann hier drin. Können wir die Sonnenfinsternis sehen.
The shadow will then drift over the northeastern finger of Halmahera Island, covering a 150-kilometer wide strip. Only on this strip will it be possible to see the total eclipse. There is a total eclipse somewhere on Earth at least once a year, though it might happen in the middle of the ocean. Halmahera is the largest island in the Moluccas, with many possible vantage points that need to be tested. And time is running out.
I need this excitement. It's all part of it. That driven feeling. Not like the stress you have at home. This is about discovery, new discovery, driving you on to find the best place, the best weather. It's also a bit of a lottery, and it drives you on. For me, this is just part and parcel of the entire project.
Gernot and Pascal have marked 4 spots on the map of Halmahera. 4 possible locations that they already researched online at home in Germany, but which they are only now seeing with their own eyes. Location number 1.
It looks good, but there are streetlights.
Otherwise, the scenery is pretty nice.
Nice, yes. Except for this over here, and that over there.
No, it won't do at all.
Location number 2. Off-road, muddy tracks in the middle of the jungle.
No, it's no good. Too many trees.
No, too many trees.
Oh, what's happening?
What should we do now?
Bang, buang dulu bang makanannya bang.
It's on the edge. Yes, here too.
Go back. Don't work.
Location number 3. Sounded appealing, but is ruled out due to inaccessibility. Location number 4.
Hey.
Hey. This might work, don't you think?
The sun rises there. The moon shadow comes over from here. The sun then rises bit by bit, here relatively high. And the rest of the scene is bathed in the light of the eclipse. Very mystical, great. I think this spot could have potential.
Their minds are almost made up, but before Gernot and Pascal unpack their equipment and prepare for the event, they have one last spot to check out, a nearby school. As with every trip, they like to get as close as possible to the people who live where the eclipse can best be seen. Home to 200 million Muslims, Indonesia is the world's most populous Islamic country. The words of the imams are taken very seriously here, and they are currently very skeptical about observing the Gerhana Matahari Total, the total eclipse. Gernot has set himself the task of allaying their fears.
When I was at school, I was always very pleased when visitors came to the school from outside the normal framework to talk about something or to show a film. I found that great and told myself I would also like to do that one day.
We have brought for you some glasses, goggles to see the Gerhana Matahari Total.
Jadi kacamata itu nanti bisa dipakai buat melihat gerhana matahari total ya. Kami sangat bangga sama kalian semua.
At the beginning of the Gerhana Matahari, the moon will cover the sun very slowly. Then you need these glasses because the sun is very bright.
If we tell them we have come to see the eclipse, then they say, yes, but we know that with eclipses you shouldn't look at the sun because the Imam said, don't look at it, for whatever reason.
In my opinion, yes, it's dangerous, very dangerous. And if an announcement was even made saying not to go out, then in that case it's extremely dangerous.
Gernot takes their fears seriously and explains what you can see if you take the right safety precautions. It certainly is very dangerous for the eyes to look at the sun unprotected, especially through a telescope. This can only be done with extremely strong filters. First, the teachers find out that nothing bad can happen. Then it's the children's turn.
Children here react to the telescope like they do everywhere else in the world. First they have a peek, a quick look, and don't really recognize anything. And then you tell them to look more carefully. What can you see? Suddenly you see how their faces change. Their eyes widen and a smile creeps across their face. Wow, I can see amazing things. And that's exactly what it's about.
I can tell from their faces if they're really seeing something or not. We take our time, it has to work. And if they look too quickly, then I'm sure that they haven't looked properly yet and didn't get the right angle. So we do it again.
Most of the children, seeing the surface of the sun with all its eruptions, grow curious. And that's exactly what Gernot and Pascal want. Maybe the children will also come, together with their parents and siblings, to the viewing point to watch the eclipse. The die is cast, the location has been fixed, number 4, on a very special strip of land in a large bay on the island of Halmahera. They can only hope that the weather now plays ball. The day before, Gernot and Pascal drive over to settle in and set up their equipment. Some men from the village have volunteered to build a shelter in case the sun burns too intensely. They have already started work. It is in this direction where the spectacle is expected the next morning at 8:37. Gernot has brought a tent where he can sleep with his equipment and, through rolled-back roof flaps, watch the eclipse at a slight distance from the rest of the onlookers. Even though diffuse sunlight is currently breaking through the thin cloud cover, the next morning could get very warm. Then the visitors will be grateful for the shade afforded by a palm leaf roof. Gernot's equipment is extensive. 2 special telescopes and a total of 5 cameras are to be deployed. While observing the sun, an astronomy tripod counters the rotation of the Earth. Different lenses are also needed to capture the different shots. On the eve of the eclipse, spectators start to assemble on the shoreline, attracted by the excitement of something new. Gernot shows them the shots of previous eclipses. This gives them an idea of what to expect the next day, if the weather is favorable.
Basically, I'm a glass half full person and don't expect the worst case scenario. I can always take something positive away with me. This will be the same tomorrow. On the other hand, the joy we experience here with the people and the communal experience we have is a key part of the reason we come. When people join us and are really enthusiastic about what we're doing here and about this encounter, then the purpose of our trip has been achieved.
Dann ist ein Ziel unserer Reise schon erreicht.
The first time-lapse sequences of the night show light cloud, but give spectators a view of the starry sky in the Milky Way. Hopefully, everything will turn out okay.
Komm, geh mal weiterarbeiten. Gemütlich machen.
But there are still over 8 hours to go until the actual event. Gernot can't change the location anymore, so now it's just a question of waiting for night to turn to day and praying for good weather. Fingers crossed. A first look at the sky the next morning before sunrise doesn't look very promising.
The hope was there, but now some clouds are rolling in and might ruin everything. If we've got all these people's hopes up and they end up not seeing anything, that would be such an anticlimax. So it can't be like this under any circumstances.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, contact.
And then it begins. First contact. The sun and moon are visible under a thin layer of cloud. There is still an hour and 15 minutes to go until total eclipse.
When it's up and running, say 10 minutes after the first contact, when the moon has already nibbled a little way into the sun, then I move away from the equipment. At that moment, when people are excitedly gathered around me, waiting for me to speak, then I can explain what is happening.
The protective glasses go down a storm. Many visitors are surprised when they hear from Pascal that the total eclipse only lasts for 3 minutes.
The nicest thing about it is that we all experience it together, that excitement. I like that. I like how it touches all of us. And experiencing this dramatic event with people is the best thing about it.
The veil of clouds grows thicker. Unlike Gernot and Pascal, eye doctors around the world hope for bad weather during an eclipse, as people often look at the sun unprotected for too long and are blinded because they have burnt their retinas. Special glasses are therefore a must. The further the moon slides over the sun, the colder it gets. The birds stop singing. It goes quiet. The light changes, and so does the mood.
3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. Okay?
The more it advances, in fact, the more excited and happier I become inside. I get more and more high. Somehow, I'm on cloud 9.
Shortly before the sun completely disappears, the excitement rises. Another wipe of the lenses, a last adjustment of the apertures and shutter speeds to ensure everything is set correctly for the key moment. The weather hasn't developed as hoped. The clouds have not dispersed. Quite the opposite.
Then the moon slides in front of the sun, and suddenly we have a gap in the clouds. Even I didn't register it for one moment, until Pascal then said, "Look, there it is." Oh yeah, great, there it is. In the face of a cosmic event, I feel really tiny and insignificant. You are then reduced to what you really are. It's hard to put into words. You are reduced in on yourself. It gives you goosebumps. The atmosphere is really weird.
Seltsam.
And when you then see solar prominences, it's fantastic. I hadn't expected to be able to see through the veil of clouds anymore. It might not be quite as dark and sharp because we are looking through a veil of clouds. Maybe not the harsh view into the depths of the universe, that impression you otherwise have with an eclipse. This was more a soft eclipse, one that somehow envelops you in an atmosphere. I hadn't experienced that before.
And it worked.
Bye.
Okay.
We've got the sun back again. Wow, were we lucky.
For decades now, Gernot Meiser, the shadow hunter, has been chasing after eclipses, traveling wherever the moon casts its shadow over the Earth, from Colombia to Siberia. Only one single time in Germany did the weather not play ball. This one in Indonesia was his 36th solar eclipse. The successful end to this expedition is the start of another mission for Gernot, as he wants to make the shots taken in Indonesia available to a wider audience in Germany.
I went out there to experience something amazing, to take something away with me and to show people. If the reaction is there and people don't say anything for a moment, but just watch and stare, when I see people are touched by what I show them, then I have achieved my goal.
Die Erfüllung meiner ganzen Mission.